Hey folks, Kurt Slayer again, and here we are for part 2 of our discussion. And first part we talked about tree tapping and all that. Second part is tree health. They both go hand in hand. So it's the end of our season. We're started pull taps. We shut down about 4 days ago, and this is one of the key parts of tree health. You want to get out here, get your spouts pulled as soon as you possibly can. You don't want to leave those taps in the tree because right now it's springtime. The trees are going to be at their peak growth here real quickly. They haven't started to leaf out yet. That'll be here in a couple weeks, but right now we want to get out here and get our taps pulled, and so the tree can heal over. You don't need to do anything to them. Just pull the tap out of the tree. You don't need to put a plug in the hole. That's only going to encourage rot. You don't need to spray them with anything. You don't need to mark them with anything. Like I've showed you before, like in our tree tapping video and other videos, you can see the old holes. You don't need to mark them in any way, unless I guess you have a really hard time seeing them. You don't need to mark them. Basically what you don't want to do is you don't want to introduce anything foreign to the tree. The tree's sap is naturally going to plug itself off and heal itself over. You will end up with a scar, but the faster you can get your taps pulled and let the tree heal up, the better. The smaller your scarring is going to be, especially if you've been running high vacuum. It will be a lot less. And smaller spouts. And the other thing you want to do, minimize your number of taps on a tree. Like this here, the smaller tree. It's actually, you can see it's split all the way down to the root system. So I treated each one of them as its own separate tree, and so each one has one tap. The more taps you have on a tree, the more scarring you're going to have in a tree, which means the more damaged wood you have, the harder it is to find good wood. If you do hit that when you're tapping, you're going to reduce your production, and it's going to stress out the tree, especially if it's a smaller tree. The smaller the tree is and the more taps you got on it, the more stressed out you're going to make it, especially if you're putting vacuum on it. Also, the thing with vacuum is if you got, well, let's just say this was one tree and I had 2 spouts on it, and I had, let's just say one tree. I had a spout here, and then I come down and maybe I put a spout over here. Well, those 2 spouts on the same small diameter tree are competing for the same sap. Ideally, if you want to do that, you want to do that to a tree like this one. How's this one for size? This thing, I think when we measured this, was about 32 inches in diameter. Okay, put 2 taps on it. Why not? At this point, you've got so much surface area and so much wood, you can get away with putting 2 taps on it, especially if you're running vacuum, because now you can put one here. The other one is on the total opposite side of the tree, and looks like above the lateral. This one's below the lateral. You want to get them as far apart as possible so they're not competing for the same wood. In case you want to know more on this, go look up, I think it was Proctor who done the study on it, and they were showing that with a tree with multiple taps on it, and they did multiple diameters, I believe, when they did the test. The closer the taps were to each other, at some point, especially if let's just say if they were on the same level, opposite sides of the tree, okay? At some point, they're just pulling, early on, they're just pulling vacuum from 2 different, vertically. But as the season goes on, now they're pulling sap horizontally, and they reach a point somewhere in the middle where now they're pulling from the same sap and competing for that resource. Not helpful to you, especially if you're on a smaller diameter tree. It's going to be even easier for that to happen. And like I said, now you're pulling, sap from a smaller diameter tree. You're going to stress it out, and you're not going to get as much production out of it. You're better off just running one tap. It's less scarring. It's less stress on the tree. It's going to heal over faster. It is going to give you the same amount of sap as if you had two taps on there, because you're competing once again. And especially if it's getting stressed out, you're not probably going to get as much sap out of it anyways. So you're better off with just one tap, because you're thinking, you got to think beyond the short-term gain of multiple taps on the same tree to the long game. How many years am I going to be able to tap this tree? So you're going to tap it a bunch of times in a short time span, or are you going to tap it a bunch of times in a long time span? So you got to think longevity. For me, I'm on leased land. I'm thinking of the landowner's trees, because I don't own these. These are all leased, and I'm leasing by the tree. I want to make sure these things are healthy and for as long as possible. It's better for me. It's better for the landowner. So fewer taps per tree. Now this thing's obviously massive. This is a granddaddy of a tree. It's got two. But I've got very, very few of them out here. This is one of the last few that I've left intact. And I may even pull the second tap on it at some point here down the road. Just because I want to make things as simple and easy in the woods as possible. One tap per tree. And make it easier on the tree in the long run. The other thing you got to think about is your tree stressed out because it's too close to water? Not enough water. Maybe it's sitting on that much topsoil and the rest is just ledge. I got a lot of trees out here like this. This hill's not as bad. I got a lot of water here. We've got streams and springs and brooks everywhere on this hillside. My first hill that you see me do a lot of filming in doesn't have that. It's pretty dry. It's a lot of ledge. This has got a lot of ledge too, but it's got a lot more springs on it. The other one, not as much. Some of the lower trees and lower down on the hill have got some springs, but these ones have got springs even all the way up at the very top of the hill. So they've got water to pull from. The thing you're gonna watch is the top. Does it have a good top on it? Half of it busted off. Is 3/4 of it busted off? Is it got the top, but all the little tendrils, all the small, tiny little twigs and branches, are they intact, or are they all gone? That's usually, if they're gone, that's a good indicator you get a dead tree in your hands, and don't bother tapping it. You're not going to get anything out of it. And then the other thing you can do is walk through in the summertime when the leaves are out. You can check the tree health. Are all the branches bearing leaves on them? Only some of them. I know for a lot of you also have to worry about pests, like the Asian longhorn beetle will make a mess of maple trees. You got the gypsy moths and some other kind of moths as well, tent caterpillars and such. Those will all mess with your tree health. If it were me and my trees had been hit with, like say, for instance, the tent caterpillars had a heavy infestation, if it were me, I wouldn't tap those trees that year. I'd leave them alone, just to give them some breather. So you got to think of these kind of other, you got the weather factors, you got pest factors, you got just the tree factors. Is it a good tree? Is it a bad tree? But what you always want to keep in mind is how long can you tap it? Your longevity of your tree, as long as you possibly can. I mean, there are places in this country where people have been tapping trees. Their great grandparents or somebody may have been tapping those trees. They've been tapped that many years. So you want to keep your tree health in mind. So anyways, that being said, this should be a fairly short video, and if you like it, please like and subscribe, and please let me know in the comments what you would like to see. If you've got questions about something, and maybe I can do a video on it, and it can help you and other people as well. So catch you on the next one, folks. Now, tree health again. The that scar on that was from when they were logging. See the old stumps? So they cut the other tree, they nicked that when they were cutting other trees out. Now, yes, at some point, obviously that's dead wood. That will continue to be dead wood in there and eventually will rot out and this whole tree will go. But at the moment, it's still got a fairly decent top on it and it's still producing sap. So we just tap away from it. We just don't tap above the scar. I guarantee you that will be a leak and you're gonna hit dead wood. Now you can tap below it, possibly, and you probably get good wood down there because that'll still be good, at least for a couple years. So one of the things you gotta look out for when you're talking tree health. Pro tip, rule of thumb, 10 inches to 20 inches, 1 tap. 20 inches in diameter and above, 2 taps. I'll say that again. 20 inches in diameter or lower, 1 tap. Minimum of 10 inches in diameter to even get a tap. 20 inches in diameter and above. Okay, now go 2 taps. Catch you later.